الرحيم وإذا شرع في الصلاة كبر لما تلونا. So now when you want to start your salah, the first thing you must make takbir, Allahu Akbar, right? لما تلونا, we gave you the proof. Allah Ta'ala says, وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ. وقال عليه السلام, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, another proof for it in the Quran, تحريمها التكبير, that the thing that makes you take you from a condition of non-salah into the condition of salah is takbir. So once you just making the intention doesn't mean you started the salah. When you say Allahu Akbar, now you have transitioned from the condition of non-salah into the condition of salah, right? وهو شرط عندنا وهو شرط عندنا خلافا للشافعي. It is a shart. It is a condition according to us, contrary to Hazrat Imam Shafi'i. What do you understand from this here? We say it's a shart, Imam Shafi says it's a rukn. What do you understand from this? Let me know. Lukman, what do you understand? If we say it's a shart and Imam Shafi says it's a rukn of salah, what would the implication of this be? Online people, if you know, you can even tell us. If we, the Hanafi, say that takbir is a shart, if you're following nicely, I explained the difference between shart, I explained the rukn, etc. Who can tell me, by us saying it is a shart and Imam Shafi says a rukn, what is the implications of this difference in of opinion? Imam Shafi says a rukn, if you don't do it, but also going to ask, if you don't do a shart, the salah won't be complete. What you say, Yusuf? Nothing. So if we say it's a shart, that means that it is not part of the actual salah. It is a condition of salah. And if Imam Shafi says a rukn, that means it's part of the salah. You understand what I'm saying? You understood that? So if we say it's a shart, that means it is something that has to be found before salah. So when you're making the takbir, you're not yet in salah. Only once you finish the takbir, now you are in salah. And Imam Shafi says a rukn, so it means it's part of the actual salah. As we go through the lesson, you'll see وهو شرط عندنا خلافا للشافعي. It is a condition according to us, contrary to Hazrat Imam Shafi'i. See, حتى to such an أنه من يحرم للفرض كان له أن يؤدي به التطوع. To such an extent, that person who made takbir tahrima for first salah, كان له, it will be permissible for him أن يؤدي بالتطوع, that he can fulfill even a nafil salah with it. So because, see, if it's a condition of salah, it means you're not in salah yet, you're not in salah. So if a person just made takbir tahrima while he's making takbir tahrima, because it's not part of the salah, it is not part of the salah, he can change his intention that now I'm not going to read my first salah, I'm going to read the 4 rakats sunnat before Zohar. You understand what I'm saying? But Imam Shafi says it's part of the salah. Imam Shafi says it is part of the salah. So that means if it is part of the salah, once you made the rukn already, you can't change because you're already in the salah. You saw the difference. Carry on. Yeah. So Imam Shafi's proof, he say, what is his proof to say that it is part of the salah? He say, look here, you know all the conditions is necessary for the salah. All the conditions that is necessary for salah. It's also necessary for the takbir. Before the takbir, you have to have wudu, you have to face the qibla, etc., etc., etc. Right? So that shows you say rukn. You understood that? وهو يقول, as Imam Shafi say, إنه verily يشترط لها ما يشترط لسائر الأركان. It is a condition يشترط لها. It is a condition لها for it, يعني for what? for the takbir tahrima, ma yashtaritu li sa'il arkan. What is a condition for all of the arkan? So that shows you wahada ayatu rukniyati. There's a sign that it's a rukn. You understand what I'm saying? You understood that part, right? Carry on. That is a sign. That means the fact that you need all the conditions for the takbirah. It's a sign that the takbirah tahrima is a rukn. It's a alamat of rukniyat, right?
ولنا أن عطف الصلاة الناس وهو قوله تعالى وذكر اسمه فصلى.
So we say, look here, see, look at me before you look at it. See, Allah Ta'ala says, وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى. Mention Allah Ta'ala, then pray. Like I tell you, Zaid came and Amr came. What does that show you? Zaid and Amr are two separate people. So same thing we say, وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ. Then he mentioned his Lord, and then he prayed. So that shows you what? The prayer only starts when? The prayer only starts when? After the takbir. You understand what I'm saying? That's why you done this also. You done this in usul, that wow is for mughayarat. What is wow? Wow is for mughayarat. Wow comes to show two things are different. So this shows you وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ. Then he mentioned Allah Ta'ala, فَصَلَّى. Then he prayed, which shows you that the takbir tahrima is separate to the actual salah. It is a shart of salah. Yes, correct. Also correct. وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى. Yeah, you write five for tartib, but in this context here, it shows like the one comes after the other, or it shows mughayyarat. It's two different things. You are right there, right? So see there, وَلَنَا, our proof is أَنَّهُ أَطَفَ الصَّلَاةِ, that Allah Ta'ala joined salat with takbir. أَنَّهُ أَطَفَ الصَّلَاةِ عَلَيْهِ في قوله تعالى and you use أطفى. You can also make أطفى جاء زيد فأمر, right? Right. وذكر اسم ربي, then he mentioned his Rabb. فصلى, then he prayed, right? So the fact that the atf is made with a fa, ومقتضاه المغايرة. The dictates of using fash is mughayara, to show it is two different things. So that's the first proof. That is the first proof to show what? That it is two different things. Carry on.
ولهذا لا يتكرر
Yeah, the next proof to show that the takbir tahrima is not part of the salah. Look here, every rakat you don't say Allahu Akbar and make another takbir tahrima. If it was a rukn of the rakat, you'd have to do it in every rakat. The fact that you don't have to do it in every, it just shows you there's a condition to read the salah before the salah. It is not for every salah. You with me? Right. So that's then here in this ibarat we're going to answer that Imam Shafi's proof. وَمُرَاعَةُ الشَّرَائِطِ لِمَا يَتَّصِلُ بِهِ مِنَ الْقِيَامِ. Remember as Imam Shafi said, look here, isn't for takbir tahrima, isn't for takbir tahrima, you need to have all the conditions of salah. Right? So we say, yes, you are right. You have to have all the conditions of salah. But the reason why you have to have all the conditions of salah is not because it is part of the salah, but look here, it comes exactly before the salah. It's not possible that a person can make takbir tahrima, now you run to make wudu. You understand what I'm saying? So just because it comes just before the starting of salah, we'll say all the conditions of salah also have to be found there. You understand what I'm saying? It's not possible that now you must run and now make wudu after you made it. It's not practical because the salah starts immediately after the takbir al-tahrima. So وَمُرَاعَةُ الشَّرَائِطِ, and the considering the shara'i, the conditions, لِمَا يَتَّصِلُ بِهِ, is because of what it joins be with the qiyam. It comes exactly after the qiyam. That is the reason why you need all the conditions of what? That's why you need all the conditions of salat, not because it's part of the salah. Carry on.
يديه من التكبيرة الأولى.
Okay, before we look at that, I'll just explain it. The question is, when should you start raising your hands? Do you start raising your hands as you start verbalizing the takbir? Or do you raise your hands to your shoulders and then you recite the takbir? You understand what I'm saying? That's the next discussion. When do you start verbalizing the takbir? That's the question. When do you start verbalizing the takbir? So in other words, look at me. Will you say like this? Allahu Akbar. Or you say like this? First raise your hands and say Allah. So Allahu Akbar. You understood? That's a discussion. Look at it. وَيَرْفَعُ يَدَيْهِ مَا تَكْبِيرِ. This here says you will raise your hands the moment you start the takbir. Now look at me. You say Allahu Akbar. That's what he's saying there. That's generally the law with all the arkan. The moment you start the movement, you start the takbir, and when you finish the movement, when you finish the takbir also. Sorry. وَيَرْفَعُ يَدَيْهِ مَا تَكْبِيرِ. He will raise his hands with the takbir, right? Carry on.
وهو سنة لأن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام واظب.
Yeah. So what they say here, what sunnat? What is sunnat? It is sunnat to raise your hands. So what does it show you? The main thing is the pronunciation of the takbir. So if a person doesn't raise his hands, he just said Allahu Akbar and then he went and he folded his hands, then it's technically he would have entered into the state of salah, but he left out a sunnat. So that here, وهو يعني refer to رفع اليدين. What does it refer to? Not the takbir, لا التكبير. لا التكبير but رفع اليدين, right? وهو سنة. So the raising of the hands, وهو سنة. That's sunnat. Why? لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم واظب عليه. Because why is it sunnat? Why do we categorize it as sunnat? That Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when I told you also, especially in Hanafi fiqh, wherever you had the word sunnat, it refer to sunnat mu'akkada. So because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would always raise his hands, that is why we say it is sunnat mu'akkada. So technically speaking, if a person just says Allahu Akbar and he folds his hands, or he makes irsal like in the Maliki Madhab, Allahu Akbar and he leaves his hands at the bottom, right? Then also we'll say he's takbir tahrima, the faraz of his done, right? وسنة لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عليه, right? Carry on.
هذا اللفظ يشير إلى اشتراط المقارنة وهو المروي عن يوسف والمهدي التحاوي رحمه الله. والأصح أنه يرفع يده ثم يكبر لأن في فعله.
Yeah. So what they say in the next one, the fact that if you look at this ibarat here, it says that you will raise your hands with the takbir. It points towards muqarana. What is muqarana? Muqarana means they must coincide. As you raise your hands, you pronounce the takbir, right? وهذا اللفظ, this word here, ويرفع يديه من التكبير, وهذا اللفظ يشير, it points towards اشتراط المقارنة. It points to conditioning مقارنة. It must happen simultaneously, right? وهو المروي عن أبي يوسف, and this is narrated from Imam Yusuf rahimahullah ta'ala, second command in the Hanafi madhab. What? That you, as you raise your hands, you what? You say the takbir is well, right? And also والمروي عن أبي يوسف والمحكي عن الطحاوي, and it's also narrated from Imam Tahawi rahimahullah ta'ala, right? Carry on.
صح أنه يرفع يديه أولا ثم يكبر.
Yeah, I told you in the Hanafi books, when you get asah, that points towards ikhtilaf and shows what is the more preferred opinion. Well, asah, but the more preferred opinion is أنه يرفع يديه. First, raise your hands. Right, it will come in the next ibarat, how high must you raise your hands, what the woman must do, what the man must do, that will come inshallah. Well, asahu, the more preferred is this, أنه يرفع يديه. He will raise his hands أولا, first, right, that the palms must be in line with the earlobes. أنه يرفع يديه أولا ثم يكبر, then he will make takbir. Why? The reason is this, they say, look here, if you look at your Rafa Yadayn, No, there are two components. One component is when you say Allahu Akbar, that is to establish the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. And when you raise your hand as though you are negating greatness from everything else. So first you need to negate the greatness of everything else. First you need to negate the greatness of everything else. Then you establish the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. So like how you say, La ilaha illallah. There's no God besides Allah Ta'ala. So first you negate all gods, then you establish Allah Ta'ala as a God. You understand what I'm saying? So same thing there. لأن فعله, the raising of the hands, لفعله نفي الكبرياء عن غير الله تعالى. It is to negate greatness عن غير الله from besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And والنفي مقدم. And to negate comes first. To negate comes first. So first you raise your hands by saying, there's nobody great. And you say, Allah Ta'ala is the greatest, right? Carry on, read the next text. Right. We done that one, right? We translated. لأن فعله نفي الكبرياء, because the action is to negate the greatness, right? The كبرياء عن غير تعالى, والنفي مقدم, and nafi comes first, right? Right. So ويرفع يديه حتى يحاذي بإبهاميه شحمة أذنيه. He will raise his hands, right? حتى till he brings in line بإبهاميه, his thumbs with the lobes of his ears. So look at me. So you say like this, Allahu Akbar. You understood? So look there. But you say the thumbs in line. Allahu Akbar, right? ويرفع يديه, he will raise his hands حتى يحاذي, until he brings in line بإبهاميه, his thumbs, شحمة أذنيه, the lobes of his ears. Carry on. Right. So in the Shafi, according to Shafi method, you only raise your hands till your shoulders like this. Allahu Akbar, right? Right. So here we're saying you raise your hands till where? Till the lobes of your ears. Till the lobes of your ears, right? Your thumbs. So you say in all the takbirs. وعلى هذا تكبيرة القنوت. You know when you make qunut in salat, witr, والأعياد namaz also you raise your hands. والجنازة, in janaza namaz, right? When you in janaza namaz, according to the Hanafi madhab, you don't read for all. You only raise your hands in the beginning, né? You don't read so, right? So yeah, as Imam Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala says, you will raise it till your shoulders. What is his proof? له حديث أبي حميد الساعدي. For him is the hadith of حميد الساعدي. قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كبر, when he made takbir, رفع يديه إلى منكبيه, he was raised his hands to his shoulders. That is Imam Shafi's proof. ولنا, what's our proof? رواية وائل بن حجر والبراء وأنس. We have the riwayat of Wa'il ibn Hujr. We have a riwayat of Wa'il ibn Hujr, has the riwayat of Bara ibn Azib, and we have the riwayat of Anas, أن النبي عليه السلام, that Nabi Sam, كان إذا كبر, when he used to make takbir, رفع يديه حذاء أذنيه, he would raise his hands حذاء أذنيه, in line with his ears, right? Then also ولأن رفع اليدين, right, the raising of the hands, right, رفع اليدين, right, لإعلام الأصم, it is to inform the deaf people. وهو بما قلنا, and how will you inform the deaf people in the congregation? When you raise it sufficiently till the ears, right? وما روى يحمل حالة عذر, those, that one riwayat which is here that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands only to his shoulders, we say that was An exception was when she had excuse. If you've done this in a hadith in Mishkat, we will do it next year, inshallah. It's mentioned that I think while it was a very cold morning, so Nabi Sallallahu had his arms in his chadar. It was difficult to raise it right up, so he only raised it till his shoulders. Righto. Okay, we'll stop there, inshallah. We will continue, inshallah. Okay, just one more ibarat. وَالْمَرْأَةُ تَرْفَعُ يَدَيْهَا حِذَاءَ مَنْكِبَيْهَا وَالصَّحِيحِ. So the woman in the Hanafi madhab, she will raise the hands in line with the shoulders, like the Shafi madhab. Was sahih. This is correct. لأنه أستر لها, because it's more parda in it. So inshallah, as we go along, we'll try to point out to you all the difference between the man's salah and the woman's salah. So normally, the common principle is a woman does not make her body big and spread it out. She tries to shrink herself. She keeps her hands like close to her body. She keeps her hands close to her chest. When she's making sajda, she contracts her body. The logical reason for that is because there's more parda in keeping her body concealed. And this is also proven from hadith. If you go into the big hadith book, you see there are mursal riwayat, which shows that the salat of a woman is different from a man. Inshallah, we will discuss that as we come there. Allah Ta'ala accept it. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of barakat, inshallah.